nonstop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
How difficult do you think it'll be for Christian, once he does get practicing, that road ahead for rookies who missed the entire preseason?
Yeah, it's a good question as far as, where he's at. I mean, I think he's practiced 4 times since he's been here. So, it's it's an unknown.
Mike Zimmer there being asked about Christian Darrisaw by Courtney Cronin from ESPN.com. And Zimmer just being like, I hate rookies, blah, 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 offense. I'm not sure.
Practice 4 times in mini camp. Those were the 4 practices.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
0 practices since training camp started.
This whole notion that he's, he could be ready for week 1. What? On what planet? He's a rookie who practiced 4 times. I think October 1 would be optimistic, but we can get into some of that because today, boys, we're going on the record here on Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company. Mackie Judd, executive producer, Declan Goff. And we're going to get some things out. We're going to make our predictions in terms of our final record predictions, playoffs or no, some declarative statements that will count in our Write That Down catalog. Thanks to those of you who are watching us on the Purple Daily YouTube channel on a TCL TV, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They've got a new lineup of award-winning TVs, the most entertainment, stunning resolution. Check them out at any major local retailer and enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. This is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. That's what we say here every day on Purple Daily. And we're going to go on the record. Let's fire up the NFL Films music, and let's start with just a couple categories to get. Let's just get these out. Let's go on the record, and let's put our predictions into the universe. What will the Vikings' final record be, and will they make the playoffs? Yes or no? Judd.
I believe I predicted when we went through the actual schedule last week or a couple weeks ago, I think I predicted 9 wins. I'm going to up that. I'm going to up that to 10.
Wow, look at this
I'm
guy
going
right
to apply
now.
some pressure here.
Wow.
10, and don't forget now, 17 games, 10 and 7, and yes, they will.
Judd's
Wow,
like, I think I had him at 9 last week. I'm gonna up that a little bit to 15 and put some pressure on.
Nope. I think 10 is fair. I think if it's less than 10, it's a definite disappointment in my opinion. So I'm going 10 wins and yes.
Declan.
Yeah, I am one below Judd there. The Vikings will finish exactly 9-8. They will finish 9-8 this season. That's where I'm at.
And playoffs or no?
Yes, they are the last team in. They win the wild card round, and then they lose in the divisional round.
Oh, okay. I'm going to stick with my 10 that I had when we went through the schedule last week. I think it's 10, which honestly, 10 is kind of a, like if you go back to 3-4 years ago when they signed Kirk Cousins and you're saying, all right, all these key players, you're going to get this Justin Jefferson guy in the draft. He's going to be amazing. Dalvin Cook is going to be one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in the NFL. You're still only going to win like 10 games in the regular season and be fighting for a wild card spot. I would say, I'd like a little bit more out of this team.
Hell yeah.
I would, but that's kind of how I feel. I think it's a 10-win team, so certainly not a disaster. Certainly a playoff team, and I will withhold my playoff take for a declarative statement here in a moment. But let's each give 3 declarative statements that will go on the record for our Write That Down predictions. These are basically bonus Write That Down predictions, declarative statements about the 2021 Vikings. And let's just, Judd, go ahead and give all 3. We can comment on yours throughout, and then Dex will give all 3, then I'll give all 3. All right?
All right. Speaking of the guy that we played Zim talking about off top of the show, the comment on Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw will start 10 or more games this season. So I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to come back a month in or so. But Rashad Hill, to me, is not a viable option here. Like, I don't think Rashad Hill, oh my God, he's so good at left tackle. Christian Darrisaw can't play. So 10 or more starts for Christian Darrisaw.
Okay.
So he's going to get thrown in because the schedule picks up big time after the bye. Like, there's some tough games before the bye.
Right.
And I wouldn't sleep on this Bengals team either, even though they're not projected to be a playoff team. But if Christian Darrisaw comes back after the Week 7 bye, which would seem like a good, let him practice for a month and a half, really get healthy,
Ramp it up.
And then give him like the extra 2 weeks to prepare for his first NFL start. And the teams you have to face, I mean, Dallas's defense isn't amazing, but you're facing Dallas, you're facing Baltimore on the road, and the Chargers. Like there's some edge rushers in that mix. The Chargers that you're gonna have to deal with. So, but yeah, I mean, give him a month and a half to sort of ramp up and figure it out. Okay.
Declarative statement number 2. The Vikings' run defense will finish in the top 5 in the National Football League. They will be a top 5. Michael Pierce, Dalvin Tomlinson. It's going to help a lot. The linebackers a lot. Eric Kendricks becomes a better player. I think this run defense is going to be outstanding, and it's the one thing that I don't think there's any debate they spent to fix. Like Pierce came in March of 2020, didn't play. Tomlinson then, if you look at it, is really the marquee free agent addition for 2021. So this should be not a top 10. This should be a top 5. They will finish in the top 5 in run defense.
And that's by yards, too, by the way. We're going to quantifying that by yards.
Just quantify by yards.
Just total yardage or yards per rush? Total yardage?
No, total yards is fine.
Total yards.
That's the simplest way to do it. So, this defense is going to go from being atrocious against the run to being, or it should be one of the best in the league.
Does real quick, does the Michael Pierce, Dalvin Tomlinson interior pairing remind you at all about the Williams wall from 10, 12 years ago?
A little bit. I need to see. So here's what I need to see more of. Dalvin Tomlinson. I mean, Kevin was a special player. He was a borderline, in my opinion, Hall of Fame player. I don't think he is going to get into the Hall, but he is like on that next cusp. And when he was healthy and playing well, he was really good. I guess my question is, and I just don't know this, is Dalvin Tomlinson at the 3 technique that good? But what I've seen from Pierce, I love. I mean, this is a mammoth man. Who can move a little bit as well, and he is going to put it as simply as possible, clog up the middle. Like people are just going to run. People are going to run
great
in.
Football descriptive word.
People are going to run into Pierce and disappear. Like they'll just be gone.
Is he going to swallow them up?
He will swallow them up, and he will clog the middle. But the Tomlinson thing, I don't know yet. And so if we're going to go to potential Williams Wall comparisons, that's where Kevin was a special player.
I want to make a joke. I'm not going to do it. I was going to say you're going to spit him up and swallow him back. You know, you're going to push him all the way back. That Williams Wall. Anyway, I derailed that. My bad.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Football. Thank you. That's all I was looking for.
That's all you had to do. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Declan Goff, everybody. That's right. All right, so Judd's on the record. Declan, what are your 3?
No,
he's got
I got one left.
I
got one left.
I said I derailed the segment.
I'm sorry.
I'm coming off the top rope on this one, boys.
Watch on, Bob.
All right, easy CM Punk.
Mike Zimmer will not return in 2022, but Rick Spielman will.
Wow, dude.
This will be Mike Zimmer's last year as the Vikings coach. I don't know if he'll surface somewhere else as a head coach, maybe a defensive coordinator. I think he loves football, but I think this is going to be it. And I do think Rick Spielman, and this could be debated. But I think the Wolves love him. They keep Rick around.
I know that this is impossible. It's revisionist history, and just like for a million reasons, it wouldn't have worked. But if you could snap your fingers and go back and say, all right, Kevin Stefanski, you're going to be the head coach, and Mike Zimmer is going to be the defensive coordinator and like associate head coach. And no one's going to feel any ill will toward each other or the organization. But we think that's the best move for this football team. Would you guys go back and sign up for that now? I mean, it's a no-brainer, right?
I'd go back and sign up for just Stefanski and Mike not being here. That's what I'd sign up for.
You wouldn't want Mike as a defensive coordinator? I'm saying if awkward feelings were not an issue.
Yeah, I guess I would, but I mean, if they lose that game, the playoff game against the Saints in the Superdome, I think Stefanski's your coach right now, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, Mike's gone.
The building was split. I mean, everything that we've heard,
and a lot of important people wanted Kevin, they really liked him.
Yeah, that's an interesting scenario. I mean, it's kind of Mike Tomlin turned out to be the one that got away 14 years ago, and I guess we'll see. We'll see. All right, so those are Judd's on the record declarative statements. Declan, you go next.
All right. I did tease the 9-8 and the wild card weekend, but I will make this very declarative and take it one step further. So, write this down, if you will. The Vikings will be the 7th seed in the NFC playoffs, and they will beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau on wild card weekend. I'm making that declarative.
Wow.
I'm putting it on the record. I'm being
Wow.
extremely specific.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
The Vikings
So
and
9 wins,
and
too.
off the record, by the way, off the record, I think they lose both matchups in the regular season too. The Vikings do. The Vikings
this would
lose
be like
both regular season
2004.
matchups.
This happened. They lost
Hard
two
to beat
games.
a team 3 times, guys.
It is.
We
It's
always
hard
say that.
hard to wind up playing a team 3 times.
That's a football. That's a
Yeah.
football thing. Hard to beat a team 3 times.
So I'm
So,
gonna
so
put that on
basically,
the
the
record.
Packers would be the 2 seed, and they'd be forced to play a home game on that wild card weekend. Interesting. All right, here for that.
So that is my first prediction and declarative statement. My second declarative statement is the Vikings will have more road wins than home wins this season.
What?
And I know that the home schedule is going to be back and back at full strength.
Yeah.
I just think you have way too many tough teams at home this year. You have to play the Browns, you have to play the Seahawks, you have to play the Rams, you have to play the Packers. I really don't see a situation where you're locked into winning
Wow.
6 games at home.
That's a bold prediction there.
Even with the
Cotton.
home field advantage, you got some tough
Yeah,
opponents,
that's a
and I
bold-
actually think you're going to win more road games than home games this year.
All right, so here are the
interesting.
home games. By the way, the overall schedule on paper is just tough.
Yeah,
You know, there's
true.
only like a small handful of, including week 1 against Cincinnati, where you're like, yeah, the Vikings are definitely favored for sure in that game. So the home games are Seattle, Cleveland, Detroit, Dallas, Green Bay, Pittsburgh on a Thursday, and the Rams and the Bears. So I think the 2 easiest games, quote unquote, on paper there are Detroit and maybe Dallas or Pittsburgh, and the rest, maybe Chicago, because you're facing probably a rookie quarterback or Andy Dalton by the end of the year. But yeah, it's tough. But the road schedule, so Cincinnati, Arizona, let's say you split those, Carolina, Baltimore, the Chargers, Niners, Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay. So it's definitely an easier slate because you got a Carolina, a Cincinnati, a Detroit in there. But all right, I could see it.
So I will say, yeah, more road wins than home wins in 2021. And my final one, and I don't believe this has happened, or maybe Todd Gurley might have did it 4 years ago with the Rams, but I'll say Dalvin Cook will score 20 rushing touchdowns this season. 20 rushing touchdowns for Dalvin Cook. I think he had 16 last year, and he didn't play in 2 games. So, I mean, he flirted with possibly doing it last season if he would have extrapolated over 16-game season. With 17 games, with the way this offense runs, I will say Dalvin Cook will score 20 rushing touchdowns this year for the Vikings.
Totally see that.
And that's at least 20, just for the record purposes. If he scores
Yeah.
21, you're going to still get
yeah,
that point.
you're right. Yep, we'll score at least 20 rushing
What are you doing,
touchdowns.
Mackie?
But I'm being specific on rushing because if
What
it
are you
is 19 rushing and he had 2 passing, this doesn't count. So I'm saying
So
20 rushing touchdowns
So
at least.
20 or more rushing
Yeah.
touchdowns.
Yep.
I know I didn't have to do that, but I didn't
No,
want.
you didn't. You
I
didn't
just
have
feel
to
like
do
it
that
would have
at
been
all. I mean,
so
you
devastating.
pigeonholed him on 20. You had him.
I'm just trying to
You had
teach.
him.
Look,
I'm just
I've been
trying to teach that
sabotaging I've been losing sleep over Joe Ryan since the last accountability session.
You did
okay?
get some favorable
I did.
comments on Twitter saying that you
I
should
got
get
a little
that
bit
point.
of Montreal screw job, but also when I wasn't Vince McMahon doing it, it was Shawn Michaels screwed himself there on that one, and that was me.
All right.
So yes, and I did compare myself to Shawn Michaels.
All right, Mackie, what do you got?
Brett screwed Brett. So I got 3 declarative statements coming at you after we shout out the Minnesota Lottery and these new Vikings scratch game tickets. So there's a $5 scratch game that can win you up to $100,000, a $2 skull game that can win you up to $15,000, and great second chance prizes like Vikings tickets. Get pumped and say, I'm in to Vikings scratch games from the Minnesota Lottery. You must be 18 or older to play. Also, Purple Daily is presented by Surly Brewing Company. Judd, besides Surly Furious, what other Surlys have you gotten yourself into? Are you just a Furious guy right now?
Well, I'm mainly a Furious guy, but I also delved into a couple of weeks ago their 12-pack variety pack.
Oh, yeah.
3 Furiouses, but then you get into some of the summertime stuff, which is probably going away here soon. You get into just a large array of Surly beer, which is all delicious. And I'm going to tell you right now, the best part about the long weekend, the college football weekend, is this: sitting on the couch, sipping a variety of Surly beers. Absolutely outstanding. In fact, if you did not do this past weekend, here's my suggestion. Do it this weekend because you got the college slate followed by the pro slate, and the pro slate starts on Thursday. Don't settle, get surly, just like I do.
Love it. Declarative statement number 1 from me, on the record here. The Vikings will start fairly hot, and I will quantify that by saying they will be at least 4-2 before the bye. I think people are overreacting to a bad preseason. We haven't seen the starters collectively, Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin. Like, at some point, I think Christian Darrisaw is going to come back probably after the 4-2 or better start. So at least 4-2 before the bye. Side note, it's after the bye that I'm most concerned about schedule-wise. Yes, the Seattle-Cleveland back-to-back home games following the back-to-back road games. Like, it's a tough 4-game schedule to start with. But once you come out of that bye, you've got that Dallas offense. You got the Ravens and the Chargers on the road. Those could be 2 AFC playoff teams. Then you have the Packers and the 49ers on the road. So 4 of those 5 games, Cowboys, Ravens, Chargers, Packers, Niners, out of the bye. 4 of those 5 games are on the road or in primetime, which are not great things for Zimmer and Kirk
The kryptonite.
as a pairing the last few years. And then the other one is against Green Bay at home at noon right now on a Sunday. So I just feel like you almost have to start hot to weather a really tough stretch that you're just going to try and stay afloat and play 500 football and see what happens after that. So that's my first declarative statement.
All right.
Declarative statement number 2. The Vikings will win a road playoff game in the wild card round.
Oh, you and Declan are on the same page here.
Declan and I are in lockstep here. I think if they do, so if you play out how I'm painting the season, 10 wins, wild card, road playoff win in the first round, maybe even against Green Bay. If Declan drew it up right and it's against Green Bay, that makes the offseason decisions really tough. If that happens, let's say they win 10 games, and let's pair mine with Declan's. They win 10 games and they beat the Packers at Lambeau in the first round, and then let's say in the second round they go to Seattle and get beat or whatever that looks like. What do you do?
I know.
If you're the Wolves, what do you do?
Depends on how well Kirk plays. Because if they win a playoff game, I don't think Mike's gone. I can't assure he's not gone, but I don't think he's gone. But I do think that there's a case to be made that they will, after all they've been through with Kirk, including the non-vax stuff, I think there might be a chance that the front office says, you know what, let's try and make a move there. And actually it simplifies the problem potentially. Because if Kirk does that, he becomes easier to trade.
But here's the thing. If Kirk does that, doesn't that answer a lot of the questions that people have about Kirk? He can't beat winning teams. He can't win primetime games. He can't win on the road in key spots. It'll be the second time that he has done that as a Vikings quarterback because he did it in New Orleans too.
I think Kirk has lost a lot of the supporters that remain for Kirk in that building. I think are largely gone now. So I don't know. I don't know that Kirk's play, unless it's just Pro Bowl phenomenal season. I don't know he can save himself here because I don't know if he still has support. He definitely does not have the support of the head coach. I know that. But I'm beginning to think that guys like Spielman also might be soured by his less than all in for the team, which, you know what, might be silly, but in football, it's a huge deal. Like, that's a huge deal in football.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think of like a scenario where they would win that game and Kirk doesn't perform that well. Then Zimmer have a case to say, hey, let's move off this albatross contract. Keep me around.
Rick might go there too, and Rick might be like, okay, cool. And then Rick might pick up his phone and dial the Denver, Colorado area code, and his good friend George Payton, who just got done with a devastating call in which the Packers said, we are going to hold Aaron Rodgers hostage again. And George is like, I got to have a quarterback here. Teddy didn't work. Locke doesn't work. What am I going to do, Rick? And Rick says, have I got a deal for you?
40 up.
Have I got a deal for you? Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Kirk can go there, sign an extension, be the new hero in town.
And I think it would be $35 million to the next team's books. If I'm
and
not
I think
mistaken.
the Vikings would
Vikings
only
eat 10.
And yeah, but I mean, 10's not bad. You can eat 10,
but if
that's not a devastating hit to you.
So regardless, if this plays out and they win 10 games and they win a road playoff game, it's still not Super Bowl, and we should still not be super happy about the outcome. But all right, those are some good boxes to check. I would think that Kirk has played well enough to put them in the spot that they needed to be in to win that game. Like, they're not just going to, like, it might be that Dalvin goes off for 200 yards in that playoff game, but Kirk will have to have done something big in the second half like he did against the Saints a couple years ago, right? Which puts you in a great spot because, all right, you wouldn't feel terrible bringing him back on a restructure because he's won 2 road playoff games in the last 3 years, and or his value would be high to a team looking to acquire a veteran quarterback while you move into the era of Kellen Mond or somebody else. So
Yes.
so you could easily spin that forward even if it doesn't result in a championship at the end of the year. So, okay.
I like it.
All right, and my third, it is. And then my third declarative statement here on the record, Danielle Hunter, I think he's back. So I'm going to say Danielle Hunter plays in at least 15 games. I'm going to give him a little leeway to miss a game or week 17 or something. He'll play in at least 15 games, and he will tally at least 15 sacks.
Ooh, career
He's
high.
going to have a big season. Yeah.
Yep.
I think 14 is his previous career high.
14 and a half. Back-to-back
Yeah.
years, 18 and 19.
So at least 15 sacks in at least
Wow.
15 games for
right.
Danielle Hunter, the
like it.
machine, who will reclaim his position as one of the great defensive edge rushers in this sport.
Something just struck me here. The ultimate irony. If Kirk Cousins is gone, so like if the Vikings say, you know what, Kirk, you played well, but I'm sorry, it's just not going to work, and we're not going to extend you, and we can't afford, obviously, to bring you back on that cap hit. There's actually a case to be made that the team could show Zimmer and Kirk the door simultaneously, and here's why. If you're going to turn the page to Mond, right? Like let's say it's Kellen Mond time. There might be a really good case to be made that is the time to then also say, okay, who's the best offensive coach for Kellen Mond that we could possibly bring in? And I'm not talking coordinator, I'm talking head coach, who will run an offense that will suit Mond. Because I will say this right now, the Vikings offense, what they want to do does not suit Mond.
But I don't think the Vikings ownership is going to fire a coach after making the playoffs,
I'm just saying,
games and winning a road playoff game if these scenarios that we're painting come to fruition.
I'm just
which
giving
they
you
probably
the
won't.
ultimate irony of reckless speculation would be is if both of them are shown the door, they
Rick.
obviously can't stand each other, but they are tied together through the twist of fate.
And they both wind up, okay, Jeff Hardy, easy. Declan got that twist
All
of fate
about it.
joke. Is
Yeah,
that Matt
all about
Hardy
it.
or Jeff Hardy? I can't remember.
No, they both of them rocked it.
JJ Hardy.
Both of them rocked it.
JJ,
Yes,
JJ Hardy too would pull
yes,
that move.
JJ
too.
Hardy, Judd.
If they both wound up with the same team, Zimmer as a defensive coordinator and Cousins as the new quarterback, I'm sure that'd be good. All right, a couple more things to get on the record here. I want your league MVP, and I'm going to steal this question from our friend of the show, Mike Greenberg from Get Up this morning. If the Chiefs and Bucks don't make it to the Super Bowl, who plays each other in the Super Bowl? So MVP and then Super Bowl matchup if it's not the Bucks and the Chiefs, Judd.
I'm going to stick with my write that down prediction of a few weeks ago. Matthew Stafford, MVP.
That's also mine.
I think he's going to have a huge year. And I'm not absolutely sure, but I mean, he's finally out of Detroit. He has a quarterback-friendly coach, and I think he's damn good. I really do. I think he's been stuck with such a dumpster fire for so long in a revolving door of coaches, and he tried. But I mean, I saw him play enough good games against the Vikings, basically by himself at times, at U.S. Bank Stadium, where I said to myself, "This is really impressive because this is a tough place to play." So I'm saying Matthew Stafford, and if we don't get a Chiefs Bucks Super Bowl, what we will get is, hold on to your hats here, Rams Titans Super Bowl. Rams Titans.
Okay.
Mike Vrabel gets to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I'm close with Judd here. I originally also have Stafford. I think it's going to be an unleashed year, but I'll give another one also just for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and as national media loves talking about this team and this guy all the time, I'm going to say Dak Prescott. I'm going to just say with the resurgence of him coming back from this leg injury, that NFC East, in my opinion, is still an absolute dumpster fire. I know everyone's really high on Washington right now after a pretty decent and pop-up year last year. But I think Dak Prescott finally stays healthy and lives up to all the hype, helps the Cowboys get the playoffs, and the national media will obviously be bought in. So I'm going to say Dak Prescott will be your National Football League MVP in 2021.
Real quick on that. So Dak Prescott, in the 5 games he played before he got hurt last year, that dude was on pace for 6,000 passing yards.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah.
He was averaging almost 400 yards a game through the air and was just unbelievable. And he's 28 years old, so Kind of like that one. And then who's your Super Bowl matchup?
Yep, I'm gonna go with Rams and Bills actually. So Rams and Buffalo Bills, I will say, make the Super Bowl. I know everyone's high on the Rams, but I do think they're the best team in the NFC. I think Rams and Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
By the way, let's go on the record and write that down for the MVPs that we're throwing out, but not for the Super Bowls, because the Super Bowl is contingent on the two top teams not making it.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you guys a guy who last year, in the first half of the season, I think was the odds-on favorite for MVP. And then the offensive scheme got more conservative and his play suffered a little bit. But Russell Wilson, despite a second-half downturn by the Seahawks, still threw for 4,200 yards, almost 70% completions, 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. It was statistically maybe the best season of his entire career. And he complained and moaned, rightfully so, all offseason about get me some more help, offensive line, and craft the scheme around my throwing ability. So I think Seattle's going to come out. They went 12-4 last year despite some of the turmoil. I think people are sleeping on them because the Rams and the 49ers have been getting all the buzz. So I think Russell Wilson wins his first league MVP. And if it's not the Chiefs and the Bucs in the Super Bowl, we're going to get Josh Allen versus Russell Wilson, the two best scrambling big play quarterbacks in the league, Seahawks versus Bills. That would be a fun matchup in the Super Bowl. Probably the most fun non-Vikings, non-Chiefs matchup that you can concoct, in my mind.
Yeah, I feel like the Bills will be good, but there's almost, it's like a given that they're going to be good, and I think that's dangerous. The Chiefs, I think, is fair because of their quarterback and also the fact that they built up that offensive line. But I feel like the Bills' momentum is like, oh, they're going to be in the Super Bowl, they're going to be great. And I'm like, hold on a second here. I do think this. I think in the AFC, there's a chance Cleveland falls off the table. Because there's just this given that, oh, man, Baker Mayfield, we don't know.
I agree.
We don't know. And I could see Cleveland disappointing in a huge way.
Yeah.
And in the NFC, this is not a great team, but Dex talked about it, Washington. Like, they've got...
I just don't get it
They're
yet.
starting Fitzmagic, who we all love. I mean, it's a great story.
Their defense is incredible. And
Right.
I think Ron Rivera has done such a good job with Carolina. Like, he's just a rock-solid winning head coach.
But I have questions about their offense.
And it's a weak
too.
division. I mean, the Eagles, the
I think
Giants.
Dallas, I'm going to say this. I think Dallas finally pops up, though.
This is the year.
This is the year, and I've said it like
Finally.
3 consecutive years.
Right.
I mean, they've got the personnel. They've got Dak.
Well,
Yeah.
their defense is, I think, still pretty suspect. But
Yeah, they need someone to come in and fix it for 2022. Maybe a cantankerous guy that used to coach the cornerbacks out there.
that's
in
Mike
Dallas.
Zimmer's music.
We'll see.
Oh, he darn near traded to him. That's all I know.
They should have traded Mike Zimmer for an injured Dak Prescott. Say, hey, listen, he's recovering. He might never be the same. We'll make the swap there. See what happens. So those are our declarative, on the record statements and thoughts about the 2021 Vikings, the NFL season. Speaking of Zimmer, he did speak yesterday to start this week of media and practice, and there's a couple things we should talk about after we shout out our friends at Moon Motorsports, celebrating 50 years as a family-owned and operated multi-line dealer in Monticello, Minnesota. They've got the best and widest selection of ATVs, side-by-sides, snowmobiles, largest inventory selection in the region, and we're talking brands that are household names: Honda, Polaris, Yamaha, Can-Am, BMW, Triumph. So check them out if you like to get out and explore the outdoors and get on something with some power. Snowmobile season is not that far away. Moon Motorsports in Monticello and moonmotorsports.com. So some practice notes from the week here, boys. Mike Zimmer speaking yesterday. So he said, and we heard this comment off the top of the show, but he said Christian Darrisaw will participate in practice tomorrow for the first time since his core surgery. Quote, "We'll just have to see how he progresses. He's not in terrific football shape because he hasn't practiced." Zimmer added that, the offensive line is a little bit of an unknown, and then said, "I don't think it's a major concern." What word would you guys use to describe the week 1 state of the Vikings offensive line?
I almost need a sentence to describe the week 1 state of this line, but I would say unknown if I'm being kind, and I would say concern. Rashad Hill starting at left tackle. Rashad Hill is a backup. I will continue to say this. He is a career backup, and he is a career backup for a reason. He is a utility player who's now being asked to start at third base every day, and that does not usually work out well. The thing with Darrisaw that Mike also said yesterday is he's going to return to practice for the first time since training camp started on Wednesday in individual drills only, which, as Phil can attest, is not exactly the hard stuff. I mean, you're doing drills, but you're not doing teamwork. So until Rashad Hill, or until Christian Darrisaw is cleared to practice in full, like, this is still a very slow step-by-step process. And this is a player who the Vikings drafted with the intention of starting against the Bengals. So concerned, I think, is completely fair.
Yeah, I think concern is a fair word too. We'll see. Rashad Hill has done well, I think, mostly at right tackle when he's filled in. But he's a career backup, like Judd said. Oli Udoh has looked really good for the most part in preseason. I wouldn't say really good, but he's looked average, which is what they need at right guard. But I think the only sure thing, like, if you're ranking the sure things right now, like, what are you the most confident in along that offensive line from 1 through 5 or whatever? I think Brian O'Neill is number 1 going into week 1. He's just rock solid, and he's one of the top 10 or so right tackles in the NFL. I think, honestly, Ezra Cleveland at left guard is probably number 2.
And that's what scares me. But I mean, that he has never played left guard. He played right guard. Now he's moved to left guard. I think that it's very fair to have big concerns going into this game about Kirk Cousins' blind side, because it's being protected by a career backup at left tackle and a guy who just transitioned from right to left guard, who, by the way, used to be a left tackle in college. And Kirk Cousins, this is what drives you crazy right now. They're highlighting a weakness by doing this, right? I mean, Kirk Cousins blind, but like, it's no surprise that Kirk, we've talked about this 1,000 times, doesn't feel pressure, that Kirk gets stripped on plays like that. And so in Kirk's defense, I will say this: if I'm Kirk, I'm like, oh, this is not great for me.
Yeah,
it's not.
It can't be. We probably don't do enough of a job on this show of just putting ourselves in the cleats of Kirk Cousins sometimes too, and thinking. I think it was you that brought this up maybe yesterday with Eric Eager, Judd. Can't remember exactly, but if Kirk could go back in time 3.5 years ago, yes. Yeah, the guaranteed money is nice, and he has now set up generations of Kirk Cousins kids and grandkids to do whatever they want in life, right? He got the guaranteed ironclad contract. The Vikings were the top bidder. The Jets were in the mix too. But would he have chosen a situation with a more offensive-minded head coach that he can connect with and a more stable offensive line?
Right.
Because he hasn't had those things in Minnesota. And he doesn't have those things going into week 1 of the 4th season, right?
Correct.
So it is something to watch. We'll see. The Bengals might not be the best test. You're going to find out more as you progress through the first month of the schedule. And there's almost no chance Christian Darrisaw starts within the first 3 or 4 weeks. I would be shocked. He hasn't practiced all summer.
Agreed.
So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Mike Zimmer on Anthony Barr's status. Quote, I don't know. We'll see more on Wednesday.
That's not good.
What's the translation there?
The translation is his knee is still acting up. It's not coming along as quickly as if your Mike would like. To me, that means that there's a good chance he doesn't play, which I have contended. I mean, he hasn't practiced since August 5th. So that's a long time to be out and then just come back on Wednesday, install the game plan, and be like, I'm ready to go Sunday. Yeah. I think Anthony Barr misses the first game or 2. But when Mike says what Mike said there, because a week ago or so, he said he's making good progress, right? He's making some progress here. Like, I'm going to open the door for him potentially playing. I felt like he closed the door on Monday. And this is an issue because the depth at linebacker, as far as I can tell, is not great. Barr's really solid. Kendricks is fantastic. Vigil, who's the guy who's going to start that they got from the Chargers as a free agent, I think he might be solid. But beyond that, I don't think it's great. And here's the problem now. So originally the plan in the nickel was to put Alexander would come on the field, replace Vigil, and then leaving Kendricks and Barr, which is pretty solid. That's good. Now it's going to be Vigil and Kendricks stay out there the entire time in nickel. And so now that's been weakened as well. So this is the type of thing where I think when the national pundits say the lack of depth could catch up to this team fairly quickly, that's what you worry about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Vigil was brought in as a depth guy, and he was depth and or special teams, right? Wasn't that the initial thought?
And he'll replace Eric Wilson.
So he would, just some background on Nick Vigil, who's almost certainly starting in week 1, as this Anthony Barr stuff is still cloudy. So he's 28 years old. He was a 3rd-round pick out of Utah State by the Bengals. And so he spent 5 years in the NFL, was mostly a full-time player in 2019 and 2017 with Cincinnati. But he has been, at best, according to Pro Football Focus, just an average starting linebacker in his best seasons. In his worst seasons, he's had some issues. So we'll see. I mean, if you have to, that's the type of guy that I think you bring him in case someone gets hurt to play a game or two. If that's all he's going to play, that's fine. If he winds up having to play a half the season because Anthony Barr is hurt and the knee injury needs surgery or something, then that's where the depth gets really exposed. So that's it. Those are your Vikings practice notes from Mike Zimmer yesterday. Somebody get that guy some Tums, some Pepto-Bismol.
And some Surly. That's what Mike needs, some Surly Furious.
He does.
Just dump it right down the gullet. You'll feel better.
He could also use some risk management and insurance, and that's where Federated comes in, all right? They're not going to help you rebuild your depth along the offensive line or linebacker core, but they will help you as a business owner with risk management resources and protection that can save your business from potential disaster. They'll help you craft plans to keep your employees safe. So check out all the resources at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Before we head out, I've got Vikings Trivia Tuesday for you, gentlemen. Okay. You're going to team up here. You guys go against each other
on
later
Thursdays.
In the week.
Yeah.
We're going to team up for this one here, all right?
We're not friends then, but we're friends now.
So Clint Kubiak is set to be the 9th Vikings offensive coordinator since the beginning of the 2005 season. Can you name the other 8?
Oh, yeah. So 2005 was Linehan had just left. I covered that team.
Okay.
Steve Loney was the OC.
Let me know when these are official guesses.
Oh, okay. So Steve Loney was the OC. Daryl Bevel then came in with Childress and was here for a long time.
Musgrave.
Bill Musgrave, yep.
Little index card of a play calling sheet.
Bill Musgrave. That's an official.
Yep, Bill Musgrave's an official
guess.
There might be some old tweets exposed on Declan Bill Musgrave.
I like that. So Bill Musgrave then gets replaced by. Oh, you know what? We now get Norv Turner.
Yeah, Norv Turner, official guess.
Shermer.
You guys are good.
Shermer.
Yeah.
Shermer
takes over. That's official. Shermer then gives way to DiFilippo. Yeah, very good.
Dude, this is
Stefanski.
Wow.
Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, yeah, I hit you with that one, didn't I?
Oh, he did. Okay.
Oh, and Gary Kubiak.
Wow, that was, oh my goodness. Wow, no hesitation.
Well, I mean, it was the wheelhouse of when I covered the team, and Declan knew. I mean,
actually, the first two I would never have gotten.
Daryl Bevel, you wouldn't have gotten?
No, I got Bevel. I wouldn't have gotten.
Steve Loney. Well, Linehan wasn't
Loney.
official because he was before 05.
No, he got replaced.
Loney was the first official one on this list.
I couldn't name
he
any
took
other
a job.
OC pre
Red wouldn't pay him
off the top of my head.
Red was too damn cheap to pay him. Yeah. So poor Steve was coaching
How far
offensive
back
line
can you
and the
show
OC.
up? Since that was so easy for you, can you go back? Can you keep going back? So you got Linehan, who was before Linehan.
Linehan was before Loney. So that's 2000. So he took over. He was brought in by Ticey, if I'm not mistaken. So who was Denny Green's last OC? I mean, you had Billick in there. Then he went to Baltimore.
I don't know if he
I'm going to give you Bill.
And then
Billick is an
Chip
obvious
Myers. Chip Myers replaced him and died that spring of a heart attack.
So he never.
And
coached
so
the
then
game.
he got replaced by who was the receivers coach? Replaced him? Was it Sherman? He had coached in Green.
You could say his name's Fred. and I
Ray
believe you.
Ray Sherman, was it?
Ray Sherman. That
Yeah,
is
his
correct.
son had
And then
died
Ray
in
Sherman
Green Bay.
became the head coach of the Packers, right?
No, that was Ray Rhodes in '99, but he got fired after 1 year because it didn't work out, and Ron Wolf fired him. No, Ray Sherman was a position coach with the Packers when I was there. After he left here, I guess. Okay, so then Ray Sherman. Did Ray Sherman then? Okay, that didn't work. He got let go, but did Linehan replace him?
I'm thinking of Mike Sherman.
Oh,
Mike Sherman was the Packers.
Yeah,
head
Mike
coach.
was, yeah. So Ray Rhodes was their coach in '99, and then he got fired after a year and replaced by Mike Sherman, who had been like the tight ends coach in Green Bay.
So you're missing the coordinator between Ray Sherman and Scott Linehan. 3 years of this guy.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm
Ticey.
I'm missing somebody.
Right?
No, Tice was the
Tice was
O-line
not
coach.
a coordinator.
Tice didn't get to be a coordinator until he went to the Bears. Hold on, 3 years. So
Yeah.
this is Denny. So this is Denny replaced. Denny replaced Sherman with this guy. Hold on.
This is amazing. We're literally covering like 30 years of offensive coordinators here.
Yeah, but 3 years. I should know this. So this is 2000. Where are we at?
2000
years-wise?
through 2000. 2000
Yes.
and 2001. It was 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Okay.
Oh, I don't know this.
2000. Who was the
I was a
coordinator
fan.
when Corey Stringer passed away? Because Tice was the O-line coach.
Off the record, is it like a house? Is it a name that we probably would know? Like it?
Not.
Well, it's kind of tough.
He was never. He was never a head coach.
Okay.
He was never a head coach. He
should
was.
know this.
He did become. Let me think here. He was also a Packers offensive coordinator.
All right, Judd.
Yeah. Ray Rhodes was the defensive coordinator, and it was Emmett Thomas.
Emmett Thomas was the defensive coordinator
Oh, defensive coordinator. Okay. So this guy
at
was
the
also
same time
Packer-
as this guy.
Oh man. Okay. So I remember Emmett Thomas. And he was Packers OC at one time.
Yep, before this.
Oh, he was an old guy. Oh yeah, Denny's buddy. Oh God, I can't remember his name. Old. He was an old. That's what it was. It was Emmett Thomas was the DC, and he came here. And it was an old. Oh man, I interviewed this guy a couple times. He was a very nice old man. I don't remember his name.
Sherman Lewis.
Sherman Lewis. Okay.
Sherman Lewis.
Yeah, nice guy. I don't know.
All
He's a great
right,
coordinator.
just for a heat check here, can you tell me the coordinator before Brian Billick? Dennis Green's first offensive coordinator.
Jack Burns.
Wow, dude, this is amazing.
Good Lord,
He
Judd.
fired him.
Okay,
He
what
fired
about
him. Yep.
what about Jerry Burns' last offensive coordinator?
Probably wasn't Schnelker, huh?
It wasn't. Schnelker was the one 5 years before this guy, so we're going to give you
Okay.
Schnelker. So Judd's taking us back to 1985 now.
I am
we're looking
negative
for
7.
we're looking for
I'm
one guy
-7.
between Jack Burns and Bob Schnelker. Very prominent name in coaching, NFL coaching circles. Not as a head coach, but like very prominent offensive coordinator.
I don't remember.
Tom Moore.
Oh, that's right.
Tom Moore, legendary
And
Colts
Dungy was- that's
offensive
right.
coordinator during
That's
the Dungy.
right. That's
Bateman.
right.
So,
That's right. Damn. That was good. That was
Wow,
fun.
Judd Zolgad.
Oh boy.
Bringing it.
A lot
Just
of
like
Vikings
30
history.
years of Vikings offensive coordinators there.
OCs,
That's what you
man.
get. That's what you get on Purple Daily here. All right, you get
I should have got Tom Moore. I remember Tom Moore. Crusty guy at the time too. Crusty. I was young. He was crusty.
Tom Moore is now 82 years old. He was born in Owatonna, Minnesota. Right there,
Yes.
right next to Federated Insurance.
I was going to say, I'm sure he is familiar with Federated Insurance.
All right,
And if
that's-
not, he's drinking a Surly right now. That's all I got.
Probably is wearing chill boys. All right, that's a
Scratching off the
wrap
lottery.
on this episode of Purple Daily. Write that down and an accountability session tomorrow, and we're counting down the days. Don't forget to Vikings Vent Line on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Immediately after Vikings games are over, if you missed it at all last year, it is a blast. Win or lose, we bring you guys into the show with us on a regular basis, and we can't wait to see what happens on Sunday. We'll see you guys tomorrow.